Welcome everybody to another episode of the Will and Rock Podcast. Talk to me.
So today we're going to be talking about UFC 219, Holm versus Cris Cyborg. It's happening tomorrow. They're the first bout. So let's start and let's break it down. Let's do predictions.
They're the main event.
No, they're the main event, correct. So let's do predictions. Because remember, next week it's going to be shot time again.
I need a W this time around.
You definitely do. Carlos Condit is fighting Neil Magny. Carlos Condit, as you know, is coming back from 2 losses.
He took a long layoff too. There was speculation that he was going to retire.
Well, he technically did, and then he decided to just get back into the octagon. But he loses to Lawler, and then he gets submitted by Damian Maia his last fight.
That's right.
So he decided, he was done. He came, leaves, and now he's back. What type of mentality he's going to come in with in the octagon is yet to know. But I believe that Neil Magny, although he's also coming from 2 losses versus Dos Anjos and Hendricks, I believe that he might have the edge with Carlos Condit going into this because he's been a little more active.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's really what it comes down to. I think Condit, we spoke about this before. When you start contemplating retirement, your mentality changes. And even if you try to get back into the sport and been away for so long, and then you deal with someone like Magny, who's been more active, which is what I totally agree with what you said, I don't see Condit winning this fight. I really don't. Even though I feel like he's the more talented fighter, and if he's at 100%, he's the old Condit, I don't think Magny stands a chance. But he's a big question. Question mark.
I agree. But so who do you have going?
I got Magny winning.
You know what? Just for the hell's sakes, I'm gonna go with Carlos Condit taking this.
I don't think either. Yeah, this is one of those fights that anybody could win.
And it's gonna go to decision. I don't see it like anybody getting submitted or knocked out.
I think for Condit's sake, if he finds a way to get like a great TKO early, just to put him back in the buzz, That's a weight class that he could totally really do damage in.
I agree. So Carlos Condit versus Neil Magny. That's the first fight. Rocky Peace Magny. I picked Carlos Condit to win that fight. And then we have Cynthia Cavallo versus Calvillo. Cynthia Calvillo versus Carlos Esparza, the Ecuadorian zone. Carlos Esparza. Esparza is also coming back from a back-to-back loss. Oh no, she lost her last fight and then won the one before that. So she's coming off a loss. Cynthia Cavallo is the same exact thing. I believe that Carlos Esparza is going to just grind her out, take her to the floor, and I think she's going to win this by unanimous decision.
I don't see a TKO happening in this bout. I think it's going to go into decision, or it's going to be one of those ground and pounds to the point where there needs to be a stoppage. I see Esparza winning this fight myself. I think she's going to grind this out on this fight, and I don't think Claudia really stands a chance. If the only way she has a chance if she stands up and keeps it on the floor. If she wants to grind it out with someone like Esparza, she's not.
I'm a little biased because Carlos Esparza is Ecuadorian, so we are a little biased with that. But you got Carlos Esparza. I also have Carlos Esparza on that one. The next one is I don't know too much about this guy Dan Hooker and Mark Drukeski. Yeah. Both of them. Drukeski's only lost 1 bout. Not in the UFC. Outside the UFC, if I'm not mistaken, he's won all 4 bouts in the UFC. But his record is 12-1, and Dan is 15-7, coming off a couple of wins himself. So going into this bout, it's. By the way, you're on pay-per-view for the first time, and you're the third fight of the pay-per-view. This is where you come out. This is where you got to leave it all in the octagon. I do believe that Mark has the edge over Dan, and I do believe Mark is going to win that fight by TKO.
So you got Mark winning the fight. I don't got much to say about these fighters, guys. I'm not familiar with either or, which is what I like. I like seeing fights like this. People that are I won't necessarily say no-namers, but people are not very recognized easily, to go in there, make a name for themselves, and they're usually the ones that really put up a big fight. So you got Mark, you said? I got the other gentleman. What's his name? I got Dan, just to go against you. All right, cool. So I got Dan, you got Mark.
The second and last fight. This is my favorite fight for a long time. It's the co-main event. You got Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Edson Barboza.
Oh
This is the perfect combination of both wrestling and grinding that Khabib does, as we all know, right? I don't see anybody beating that type of style. Versus Edson Barboza, whose favorite game is on his feet, constantly throwing his legs, the quickest switch kick in UFC history. It's amazing what he could do with his legs. I don't see anybody beating Khabib unless he goes and steps to either Tony Ferguson or Conor McGregor. That whole weight class, you could repeat them a couple of times. Khabib Nurmagomedov is gonna grind and pound you to the end. I got Khabib Nurmagomedov. I'm gonna go for second round stoppage by the ref. I don't see Barboza making sure that he doesn't get taken down, especially from a guy like Khabib.
I do believe Khabib is going to win this fight. Khabib has been out for a while too. So what Khabib is going to walk into the octagon, and it's interesting because Daniel Cormier kept talking about him being back and him being back 100% and being really comfortable. Yeah, with that weight again, because he's known to miss weight. Yeah. So going into this fight, even though I really like to see Barboza win this fight, just because he's more of an entertaining fighter. And Khabib is one of those guys that if he really takes you down, he just grinds you out, and it could become what some people might consider boring. But I don't see Khabib losing this fight. I just do not see Khabib losing this fight.
I agree with you, man. I don't see nobody really beating Khabib, like I said. So you also got Khabib, I guess? Yeah, Khabib. I also have Khabib. All right, cool. And then the last but not least, we have Cris Cyborg versus Holm. We spoke about this last time. This, I believe, has the biggest applications for both females. I believe that whoever wins goes out as one of the greatest UFC women's champion, or let me even take that back, the greatest MMA women's fighter.
Yeah.
Ever.
Hands down.
Ever. I think this is the biggest fight, the best fighters. I don't want to take anything away from Amanda Nunes and Joanna Jędrzejczyk, but two different weight classes.
Or even what Rousey did for the women's division. Let's not forget that. Just because she takes some else, she put the reason why we're watching this is because of Ronda Rousey.
Right. And yeah, you're right. But although I agree with you 100%, these are the top female fighters in their weight class.
Right now, hands
without a doubt. Especially because Joanna just finished losing to Rose Manahuna. I can never pronounce her name, but just because she came out with that loss, I believe that this has the biggest applications on both women. I believe this is a fight that should have happened a long time ago. We're finally get to see them. One is like 36, the other one's like 32 years old. They're on their primes.
Yeah.
It's
a great time to see this fight. It's just great for the sport. It's great for women's sport, and they have so many great fighters. These women right now, they run pretty deep in their divisions.
Well, what's interesting that you say that is that now we're starting to see the females getting knockouts, a lot more submissions. Like their level is like they started at a very low level, like with all due respect to all the female fighters, but they really did. They started out like in UFC, like 20 or 25 when it first kind of started. Very brawl. We used to love seeing women brawl, but you start to see them elevate their game to the point where now they start taking them down. Submissions are starting to happen. Their hands are starting to become stronger females. Like. Yeah, it's become an evolution completely. I think they're very up to date with the guys division, and they're gonna headline UFC 219, which is amazing.
And this fight needs to headline, which is what I really love about it. They put some really good backup cards to lead up to this main event, so people are gonna stay tuned. I think this is gonna do pretty well for the UFC. It's great to see Holly Holm back into that champion octagon. It's great to see Cyborg just know that she's gonna take another fight in the UFC just to see her fight again. This fight is gonna go down as the best UFC women's fight in UFC history or MMA history.
Yeah, I do agree. But anyways, that is the card. Who are you picking?
Shit, man. I have such a hard time. I mean, it almost feels like there's nobody beating Cyborg, so I'm gonna go with Cyborg. But like I want to root for Holly Holmes. I just do not see Holly winning this fight.
It's hard to see Cris Cyborg lose to anybody in that division.
Yeah.
But if she would to lose to somebody, besides Amanda Nunes, which is a different weight class, I really do believe Holly Holm is that one person that could probably even TKO her if she keeps her distance. But Cris Cyborg she just moves forward and is so technical. She has the power to knock you out, and I believe that's what's exactly going to happen. I have Cris Cyborg knocking out Holly Holm.
If this becomes an upset, this is going to become one of those Rose versus Joanna fights.
Really, you look at it like that? I don't look at it like that. I think they're both a little more leveled than when you have like Joanna Jędrzejczyk that you're trying to explain. She was just cleaning out her division, and then all of a sudden, Rosa comes in. She makes a couple of good wins.
What you just literally said everything that implemented to this main event.
I don't.
You got Cyborg who wiped out every woman she's ever fought, not necessarily in the UFC, but in other divisions. I mean, in other federations.
Right.
Then you got someone like Holly Holmes who's quietly been making her way up. There's not really big,
but we have to understand Holly Holm also has had more experience in the UFC for one, and top competition to where she is now.
No.
So if you ask who's the most important, like Johanna's the biggest name. Rosa came out of nowhere and won. Holly Holm is a bigger name than Cris Cyborg in the UFC, but us knowing more about MMA, we know that Cris Cyborg has a better name in MMA than does Holly Holm. So they kind of match up with their one for popularity, one for an actual fighter, as you could say, right? One of the people that kind of also put it a little bit in the map. Long story short, I believe this has the biggest application. Then I would not compare it to Joanna versus.
No, I get it. I can see. Well, I feel like I make a strong point, but I can totally see where you're coming from. I totally get it. I think Holly Holmes is definitely a bigger name than Rose when they were both in this situation at least.
All right, so let's wrap that up. So UFC 219, that's happening tomorrow. So we're probably gonna have this recording first thing tomorrow morning. So just in case, but that is our predictions. Next week is shots. I do have one UFC news. They haven't booked the date yet or where exactly it's going to take place, but Romero versus Branch. I know it's on Fox 28.
Is it headlining?
I'm pretty sure it's headlining. They haven't said it yet, but I would like to think that
it's. Give Branch a really good shot at this, man.
Branch, coming off a loss with Luke Rockhold, which he almost had. He almost had the win there. And Romero coming off a win versus Chris Weidman. Was he that last time?
No, he actually lost to Whittaker. So that's his last time he fought.
Oh,
he took the loss to Whittaker, and he was off. He was gone for a bit from injury.
Yeah.
So he's just coming back. So these two fighters, it could go either way.
Yeah.
It could go either way. Let's not forget how old Romero is, man.
But I don't even think
that's
that
gonna
should
be the X factor.
I don't think so. I don't think it has anything to do. I think Romero has proven back to back that he's a complete beast. You good luck trying to wrestle the guy, and guess what? He has the power to knee you in the face. He has the power to knock you lights out with one punch. So I believe Romero has this in the bag.
I don't know, man. I will tell you, I have no idea. Branch is underrated. The reason why he fought and lost to Rockhold, and they're giving him another, is because the UFC is really pushing for this guy. This kid is special.
Yeah, but because he's coming off, he was a champion in the other organization. Now
you took a loss. You took a loss in that federation. You shouldn't headline.
Right, you're right.
Headline.
But now he's got real competition, and then he's lost. He lost this last fight. So let's see how that happens. But I have Romero winning that fight. But anyways, this is going to be posted tomorrow. Catch it. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, The Will and Rock Podcast. YouTube, The Will and Rock Podcast on YouTube as well. If you have any questions, any comments, like it, dislike it, whatever it is, just put it down. Anything else?
That's all.
All right, cool.
We're all set. Guys, peace. See you next week.